Straight into games, ladies and gentlemen. It is the first game of the EU Masters 2019 Spring Play-ins. These are all best of ones, so every win matters. You got to get into those top 5. You're bottom 2, you're going out. So let's have a look now. And Mad Lions, they're going with what I would call definitely a scaling comp.
Yeah.
They got a lot of damage in that late game, but there's also the Taric Sona as well. They talked about it on the desk a little bit. Like, what's your thoughts right now?
Yeah, so Taric Sona is all flavor of the month right now. What I'm looking forward to seeing is how Mad Lions deal with it, because it's a very frustrating lane to play versus. But if you have hard engage or you have a strong kind of bully early lane, that's kind of how you deal with it. However, Jinx Tahm-Kench, not that strong early bully lane, and I mean, Rek'Sai is a strong jungler, but you're kind of looking for, well, like the Jarvan or Monkeys, for example, someone who can really get in there and cause havoc. So what I would personally be looking for, if you want to shut down this Sona Taric bot lane, is you give a lot of attention to there with the early game power in Rek'Sai, specifically after Pretty gets level 6, because he can throw down the cannon barrage, and that makes it very easy to dive before Taric gets his level 6, so that he can kind of counteract any dives that might be coming through to him.
And talk to me now, why is Taric Sona the flavor of the month? Why is it so popular? Why is it so frustrating?
Firstly, you got the double support items. So you get double Sightstone, which is always powerful in pro play. It's one of the reasons, arguably, why the West has caught up to the East in professional play, if you want to make that argument, is because things like Tracker's Knife isn't around anymore, and like Sightstones and stuff like that. Lack of vision. Basically, when the more vision you have, the more controlled style of game that you can execute, and in professional play, organized competitive play, that's very valuable. Plus, the fact that Sona's pokes the crap out of you, and you have so much sustain in that bot lane, it's like inevitable that you are going to get favorable trades off. It's why you should pick Soraka if you don't trust your AD carry in solo queue, because it doesn't matter how dumb he is and the bad trades he makes. You heal him up and suddenly the bad trade goes away.
Yeah, you can just be like the support ambulance, just wee-wooing around the map, helping everybody. You know, get that
Moby
speed boost
first.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Get the fadeaway banana for, you know, get the first blood kills. I've seen that a couple of times. I've been so frustrated as an AD carry. It's like they get a random auto attack. I'm like, no.
I love the way Falco has stylized his name in all caps. Because Mad is in all caps. It just sounds like a very angry summoner name, and I respect that.
It does look like he is literally shouting himself. Yeah. He's just like, Mad Falco! It's like, oh god!
I like that. I like that. That's definitely putting a lot of pressure onto me. Looking at him, I'm feeling intimidated. And if I were the Mad Lions as well, looking at the Hecarim into Kayle matchup specifically, Kayle is a champion that we've seen a lot of importance on this pick, either in the ban phase or being picked away, because she's just so strong in the lane phase. And then once you reach that level 11, then once you reach that level 16 as well, and you kind of upgrade, she's very strong. But Jarvan, strong early game jungler, gets off his first gank of the game. Flash blown on Yoppa.
Yeah, good flash, good respect flash from Yoppa as well, and he's the kind of guy I would look to as well to be the kind of like the carry of the Mad Lions as well. Maybe not necessarily in this particular game, but he's definitely the cornerstone of how most of their games go, and if he's doing well, the team's generally doing well. So giving a good bit of respect there to the Jarvan Hecarim combo. You have got the Ignite on the Hecarim as well, so we'll see now if Bluezor can actually do something here. He's going to just back away. He doesn't really want to do for anything. Got spotted on the scuttle and walks himself away, and it's going to probably be a very, very quiet early game, looking at the two comps.
I would imagine level 6 is like a huge thing for both of these teams. And Monkeys, what he wants to do before level 6 is he wants to set up for the level 6. So what he wants to do is he wants to go to lane, see if he can catch people who are overextended, maybe blow some summoners, much like what he did in that top lane against Yoppa. Because then he can revisit it when Kerberos gets his ultimate, for example, and then you actually have a really good setup. So you're kind of setting yourself up for success a bit later on by going aggressive early here. And so far, what I would expect to see out of Monkeys is to return to that top lane when he reaches and when Kerberos reaches level 6.
Yeah, could see him earlier as well to punish the flashless Kayle. Is ahead on about 5 or 6 CS, nothing too huge. Wave is crashing into the Hecarim.
This could be scary though. The Scuttle Crab is spawning in the top river. Both junglers are pinging it. Both junglers want it. However, Monkeys doesn't have priority in mid or top lane. So this could get a little bit hairy here.
But Kayle did just recall, so priority goes back towards the top side. Akali is roaming up as well. We might see a little bit of a move here.
That's
Teleport coming in.
She has no flash.
No flash. That was a really aggressive move. Yoppa gets knocked up, knocked back. Going to potentially go down here. One more cleave, and that's going to be Kerberos picking up the first blood of the EU Masters 2019 play-ins.
And Hecarim with that first blood is going to be able to use that to great success. What a Too bad on the TP right there. You can't TP into it when you have no flash and you know you're going to get collapsed on before Rek'Sai can get there to help you out. This is exactly it. If you want to beat Kayle, you need to beat her before she scales up. And the best way to do that is to kill her in the early game.
Yeah, and that was honestly a very disrespectful TP. Like, you know, the opposition must have known that when you TP like that, you are going to be revealed, the TP comes down, and then knowing that the Akali had priority as well over the Gangplank, it just felt like a little bit too much of a, oh, I don't believe they're going to kill me, rather than kind of like, oh, we can actually outplay this.
This is the thing you have to be respectful of and aware of, though, if you are picking scaling solo lanes, is that you need to know that there's a good chance if you want to contest Scuttle Crabs that if it spawns on the top side, you won't be able to do it. Now, Rek'Sai into Jarvan can absolutely in the 1v1 go for those kind of plays, and you see this a lot in solo queue where because the jungler thinks he can beat the enemy jungler, he'll go for the crab and then he gets collapsed on and it's kind of scary. The thing with Gangplank though, and this is where it's this is what I like actually about the Gangplank pick, is that with Grassley on dying, your lane phase is actually not too bad. So we do talk about Gangplank being a scaling champion and wanting that level 13 so that you can get rank 5 in your barrels. But in the lane phase, if you get that Sheen, if you get that Grassley on dying, you can poke a lot. And because Akali lost the sustain on her Q as well, Pretty picked this GP to be able to have the priority in that mid lane, to be able to make it happen. And it's just one of those plays that's just a little bit, you know, your jungler calls to Scuttle Crab, Yopper's like, I'll help you, buddy, and he's dead. So a bit unfortunate, but Blue Resolve's looking to make it up here with a lane gank on the top side.
Yeah, I don't know if he was spotted just there. I think he was. I think Hecarim would just push forward enough.
Yeah.
Kerberos should know that what's going on. And as you see, he's going to force the back away. He's playing incredibly safe here. Kerberos showing really good respect here, just knowing that the jungler is probably still around.
And as Mad Lion's jungler is on the top side, Diabolus' jungler is going to secure the dragon on the bot side. So an early Ocean Dragon, always one of the nice ones to take. It's like getting a permanent boo buff in that lane phase. You get that sustain. Really, really nice for the lane phase early on.
It's also really good for Sona Taric. Like,
very good for Sona
really
Taric.
good.
Very good for Sona Taric. And it's also a good deny from the Kayle and from the Gangplank, because those are lanes. I mean, Mad Lions want to have like a nice chill lane phase, and something that gives you regen facilitates having a nice chill lane phase. So take that away from them, and suddenly, yeah, it's all good. It's all aces so far for Diabolus.
Not the explosive start to EU Masters we expected. Something a little bit, as you say, a little bit more chill, a little bit more relaxed. Everyone's just kind of scaling up. We've got a pickaxe, you know, Vamp Scepter, Sheen for the side of the Mad Lions, whereas you're looking at Ninja Tabby's first item there for the Hecarim. Very good respect here from the Akali, picking up that Seeker's Arm Guard straight away. Doesn't even need to go for the damage. Wants to make sure that they're not dying super quickly in these fights. And right now, I actually must give, you know, props to Monkiss right now, because he just seems to be able to counter jungle and also seems to be able to know where Blue Razor is going and just be able to capitalize knowing he's not around.
He is applying a lot of pressure from this jungle role right now. Monkiss, when he was playing in the UK scene, he was often the catalyst for Diabolus' success. Very, very high-performing player on that team, and so far he's living up to that reputation as well. Not only taking the red buff, but also these Krugs too. Yopper's going to face check him here, maybe.
Didn't actually do it just yet.
Monkiss has ult.
Yeah. Actually, maybe going to go for it. They might just go for the dive right now. Hecarim is around. He's not spotted on that ward. This could be very dangerous for Yopper. He's going to realize it too little, too late. There's the ultimate there. Going to use the Kayle. Nicely done. Going to push him back towards it. Still has flash on the Kayle, but if he uses it, he's got to use it at the perfect time. Not going to be able to use it, or will not choose to use it. And that's going to be another kill for Kerberos. 2-0 on this Hecarim, and this Kayle is starting to struggle.
That was a perfectly executed gank right there. Really no counterplay for Yopper. He gets the fear. Kerberos gets the fear onto him that pushes him away from his tower, away from safety, which then means that when Monkiss follows up, because KO as a champion has no inherent gap closer, if Yopper uses that flash to escape, which is the only way he would escape there, Monkiss just holds onto his ult, follows up with that, and you're dead anyway. So at this point, Yopper now sitting on 2 deaths, the only 2 kills in this game. And we said, you know, if you want to beat the scaling comp, if you want to beat this Kayle, who gets crazy strong at that level 11 and level 16 mark, this is the perfect way to do it.
And this is such an interesting matchup for teams as well. Both these teams in the regional leagues, in the UKLC and in the LVP, you know, España League, the Super League Orange, they both finished top of the season in like the regular season and then fell off in playoffs. Diabolus made it all the way to the finals. Sadly for Mad Lions, they were knocked out a little bit earlier than that. So it's interesting to see how kind of, you know, both teams kind of finishing in similar styles, but, you know, Diabolus coming in right now looking like the slightly stronger, slightly more confident team.
So far, yeah, and this is where you got to test your mettle, right? You said this is a single round robin. Every game counts as, oh man, we're like, what,
Yeah,
10 minutes into the first game, I've already said it. Yikes.
Every game matters.
But it honestly is true, you know, like it really is true. And the thing is that this is where you really see the kind of like the infrastructure behind the teams and the coaching stuff and that kind of stuff. Because Aranea, being the coach of Mad Lions, very respected coach. Don't forget that 4 of his players were promoted from the Spanish League into the LEC last season, which is now SK Gaming.
Yep.
Who even made the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
and played incredibly well in that playoffs as well.
Absolutely, and here we go. Diabolus looks like they might be under pressure for the first time.
They might be able to do it. Kerberos has got his ultimate available, but they are going to try and make a move mid. Oh, he actually saves the Akali, and the Akali gets out! Falco with the biggest blunder, and now we're going to see the re-engage coming top as Sona has jumped in. There's the cannon barrage to just wade the Jarvan. Monk is coming in. Mad Lions went for the proactive play, and it just didn't quite work out.
A great reaction, though, from Diabolus right there. That was looking like it could be Mad Lions making a play on 2 fronts right there. And instead, oh my goodness, they actually get nothing out of it. So, you hate to see it, man, that the first Bright to play Mad Lions, they try and do it, and holy moly, that could not have gone worse for them. Well, it could have done, technically. But it was still pretty awful.
But given the circumstances, that is probably the net worst results you could possibly get while still kind of going, it's not the worst.
I mean, that was double flash as well, right, from Blue Resort and from KO. And this is
Falco.
It. Right, and when you're playing versus a Jarvan, and Monkeys, who has shown up this game and has proven that he will show up as a player, playing versus that Cataclysm when you have no flash, that's very hard to do. And we're going to see that the Rift will be put down here. Don't forget, this is a 12-minute Herald, which means that the plates are still up. So this won't only be First Blood Tower, but we'll be getting those juicy plates as well.
Yeah, that's what I like to call a plate gank, or as Ender calls a plate gank, you know? Likes to think of it that you don't actually do anything with it. You put the jungler to one lane and you just get plates. Because then realistically, you get 2 plates from that, it's 320 gold. Yeah. That's effectively a kill. So a lot of money there. Actually, first tower as well, going over to the Sona Taric. And that's, you know, like we're looking at the Sona's items right now. Got the Sheen, got the Tier. You know, they've got the items kind of slowly getting up, and this mid game is going to look very scary for Mad Lions if they don't start doing something proactive.
And this is it also where the benefit of the Sona Taric with the vision will come through, because Diabolus are now in a good position this game where they have the advantage and they're the people who can start face checking Fog of War if they need to. And by doing so, you can then put down vision and you can start controlling this map and make it very hard for Mad Lions to really get a footing anywhere on the Rift right now, especially considering their champions honestly need a little bit more time before they can start being effective. I mean, GP's not even on his Triforce. Kale's not even on the Blade either. It's looking, right now, Diabolus look like they're in a good position for this game.
Diabolus looking strong, but it is only just under 13 or just under 14 minutes in the first game, and nerves can be a real thing. It's a long, grueling season. You know, the Mad Lions only kind of, you know, well, I suppose they had a little bit of a break because they went out in playoffs. No shade, no shade. But, you know, it is a long season. You've got to get yourself prepared. New patch, we're on 9.7. We've got the new Wit's End. We've got the new Cinderhulk on the jungle items, which is why we're actually seeing a Cinderhulk Jarvan rather than the Warrior enchantment, which means he gets that 300% damage to the epic monsters as well. So, and that's going to be potentially another Drake going over to the side of Diablos, but it looks like potentially Bluezor wants to try and contest. It's going to be very hard though. Yeah,
I don't think the Mad Lions can contest this one right now. Like I said, they just don't have a foot in this game. And this is the issue, is honestly the Dragon rolls right now have been perfect for Diablos. So you get that early game Ocean Dragon to help you out in the lane phase, and now, Jinx, mate, steady on. Now you have the Mountain Dragon, which is really good for objective plays, for sieging and stuff like that, which is precisely what Diablos want to do to snowball this game.
Yeah, we'll have to see now, Diablos, what they're going to do with it. And actually, it's the bot lane of Diablos, the Sona Taric, which we said shouldn't have priority, making moves, putting pressure, putting the, you know, the Jinx on the back foot. And like you talked about, no real full items. Finally, we see a Triforce for the GP. And, you know, it kind of makes you feel like maybe that item spike is still obviously there, but it's still a little bit you know, too little, because now the Triforce is on the Heck Room. You've got, you know, nearly a Gunblade for the Akali. You've got so many small little things that just make it very hard for them to really make this worth it.
Yeah, this is where, for Mad Lions, you just want to stall out, clear waves, and not lose too much in the process. When we've reached that 20-minute mark, when Baron starts spawning, Diablos, as a team, will want to look to do it, but this is where it gets a little bit complicated when you have the Sona Taric bot lane. You don't have that traditional AD carry, which means that it is a little bit hard to take something like the Baron, right? Because there's not a lot of consistent damage coming through from the Diabolus side. So we'll see whether... That is a stylistic difference that you have to respect when you pick this on attack, and we'll see whether or not Diabolus do respect that, or whether they still try and play a more standard style with a non-standard comp.
Yeah, we'll see now. Hecarim jumping in onto Yappa, doesn't actually hit anything, and Yappa can get a bit of free damage now. Has the Bork, decent bit of attack speed as well with those double daggers stacked on top of it, so shouldn't be doing too badly in these trades anymore, even with the Triforce on the Hecarim. But something that I was looking at, and it kind of really screams to me as well, the longer we go into this game, Mad Lions are going to struggle for engage. They don't really have someone to run in apart from Luzor, but even then, he's going to be so squishy as the mid lane is starting to be sieged up here. Kerberos just playing Bouncer. He doesn't want him anywhere near this, and they're going to get a lot of chip damage onto this.
Yeah, the way that Mad Lions would look to engage a team fight would come from the GP throwing down his ulti, and then having someone run into the enemy team. Yoppa chucks the ultimate on that person, and then that you kind of just go from there. You got Jinx firing from the backline as well. The issue is, you're not wrong still, that you don't really have, you're kind of missing that link there where who is the guy that runs in, who is the guy that follows up the GP ulti, who takes the KO ulti, puts that into the middle of the team. You can have Rek'Sai do that. If you tag someone, you can ult in with Rek'Sai, or you can just tunnel in and flash and stuff like that, but it's not really ideal, right? Especially when you compare that to the side of Diabolus, who have that crazy trigger that they can pull with the Jarvan, with the Hecarim, and the follow-up as well from this entire bot lane. So it's looking like for now, you know, again, Mad Lions, they just want to stall out here, and Yoppa is now level 11, GP is closer, he's level 12, so he's one step closer to that level 13. And Infinity Edge also, these item spikes are coming through here. Just a little bit more time. That's what Mad Lions want. Just a little bit more time.
30 more minutes, boys, and we're good. You know that's what the comms is right now. After a slight, I wouldn't call it disastrous, but definitely a negative start to the game.
Sure.
You're looking at kind of like, okay, let's just do nothing for a little bit, and ooh, nice steal, and try and just scale up, get Yoppa those items. Hopefully he gets a lucky skill point off the Kleptomancy and gets that level 16, that level 15. See what they can do. But coming up to the 18-minute mark, maybe 20 minutes nearly into the game, what's the next play for Diabolus? Because realistically, they're on the timer. They're the ones that have to make the play before they get to the 35-40-minute mark. What do they need to do to make sure that we don't get to that scary GP KL Jinx late game?
Well, if you look at the waves, there's actually only one tower that's gone down, which was that first blood tower that took Okay, thanks, Diabolus. So there's only 2 towers that have gone down this game. So honestly, Diabolus need to start cracking down those structures right here, because I mean, we talk about Mad Lions just wanting to stall, just wanting to hold on. If you're not losing towers, that's a pretty good way to hold on. They're doing decent.
Has to use his ultimate over the wall, but Kale is there. Tam Kench going to use the ultimate as well to get up out of side, and he's just shut down. No flash on that pony. And he is gone down. That is going straight over to the exact person you want that goal to get to. And that is onto the Yoppa's Kale. And that's kind of you send everyone bot side, you literally saw the Akali chase them all upside. Why would you go that way?
Yeah, Kerberos was just a little bit disrespectful there of the potential for Mad Lions to collapse onto him. Diabolus, they got that bot side tower, but honestly, in order for this play to be worth it, they would have wanted this mid as well. Like, having this tier 1 mid still be up at almost 20 minutes into the game, when you do have that early advantage, it kind of handcuffs you a little bit, because this tower is what unlocks the entire map for you. It's very hard to get into the enemy jungle, to put that vision down, to use that sonotaric advantage that you have when that mid tower is still up, because that is a safe zone for the Mad Lions right here, and you don't want it to be a safe zone. You want it to be a void area. Still, we're talking about perfect roles for Diabolus Dragons, and here we go. We've got the Inferno coming through next. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see. Falco forced to flash, still has the thick skin if he wants to, does pop it. That's going to be Akali popping back out, but that is Falco chunked out. Potentially good if they go for a fight, but it looks like, again, Mad Lions, they don't need these dragons. They don't need the Ocean, Infernal, and Mountain combo, because yes, they are great individual stats. They're going to scale up so crazy, and they know that Diabolos are going to go for these dragons, because it's a lose-lose if they lose them in this situation, but they're looking like they're trying to go for a fight right now, and Mad Lions need to be careful. They're on the long side of this road.
Oh boy.
Gangplank is separated, so
you can just take the inside track to mid lane here right now. If you're Diabolus, you don't have to fight this one. You can crack down that mid tower. It looks like that's what's going to be happening here. Mad Lions going to concede that one. But actually, Mad Lions, they're still knocking about. They cancelled their recalls there. They might actually be looking to turn on this one. Kerberos fancies it.
Samux gets hit up, has to be using the Devour, and then we see Kerberos just jetting out there straight away with the Onslaught of Shadows. And that's all she wrote. It was a test, you know? It was just like are your Devour skills, is it on cooldown? Oh, it's not cool.
Yeah, I don't really know what to say about that one. I don't know. That was, okay, so, you know, you dip your toe in the bath water, it's still hot, we'll let that one sit for a little while longer, shall we? Fair enough. But they do get the mid tower. That is something. And, you know, at this point, I guess the easiest way to throw this game is to take a really bad fight. And to kind of overforce, as often is the case, especially on high-stake games like the play-ins of the EU Masters. Don't forget that most of these regional leagues have been playing for this, to get into the EU Masters.
The pinnacle of their season is
exactly
this.
The highest tier of European League of Legends.
That isn't LEC.
Yeah, that is not
we gotta
LEC.
put that asterisk in there because you know everyone in Twitch chat would be like,
listen,
actually.
Yo, the LEC SK Gaming drew 4 players out of the Mad Lions, right?
Yeah, and we saw Splice take a top laner from the Splice Vipers as well for a week. You know, we saw Sakin from Vitality B come in for Chizuke as well. Like, there is a huge amount of talent in these leagues, and this is, like you said, the pinnacle for these players and these organizations to showcase that, to show why you should be picking Kerberos as your jungler, or sorry, actually jungler, I saw Hecarim, I got confused, as your top laner. Why? Because he can do this, you know? Yeah. And that's the beauty of this competition, because it's not just for the teams, it's for the players.
Yeah, absolutely. This is it. Like, this is a pretty big stage. A lot of players that have performed well at the EU Masters have then gone on to better things, exactly as you're saying. I mean, even if we look at Origin from 2018 spring, Froggen, Golden Guardians now, going to playoffs there. Expect playing on Excel.
Do we really count Expect?
Well, Expect, to be fair.
Do we count Expect and Insect in that particular category?
Expect was one of Excel's standout performers this year in the LEC.
He was, absolutely.
In
previous years, he was a fantastic player for the previous iterations of the highest tier of European League of Legends. But
Oscar Forgiven's coming back as well, apparently.
He's top 10 now. He's top 10.
The rumor mill is circling on that boy, Greek boy over there. He's done his service, and now he's coming back to reclaim his title.
There you go. Next split, EU Masters teams. If an LEC doesn't take him, you get on that. Get on that. You'll get into LEC or EU Masters, no problem.
A problem I'm seeing, no problem there, problem in this game is that Diabolus have had pretty much the same gold lead as now in the 22, 23 minute mark as they did at like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, they're not regressing, but as a percentage of the goal difference means that as far as Mad Lions are concerned, the game has not accelerated. That Diabolus have not been able to use to keep up the pace, basically. They started out strong, 100 meters was fine, but when you get to that 400 meters, Usain Bolt, you ain't.
Yeah.
So they are, this is it, right? And this is the thing is, for Mad Lions, we started to reach the point here, 2 items on Kale, 2 items on GP, 2 items on Jinx as well. Item power points are coming through too. You know, it's looking like, at this point, the Taric Sonar, what do we see out of these guys? Do we get those big team fights out of them where the Taric drops his ultimate down and suddenly no one can do any damage, where the Sonar locks people up? I feel like Diabolus opened a nice big window, but that window is slowly closing and Diabolus haven't quite escaped the burning building.
Yeah, my issue always comes from the Sonar Taric comp as such, as we might see a little bit of a move. Cool fade transition. And my issue with the Sonar Taric comp is that it is incredibly good at shutting down dive comps. You know, people like, if you have like a Nocturne, like on the Hecarim on the other team, and you're like, we want to stop them from getting on our back line. But when the other team literally doesn't want to engage until 35, 40 minutes, it doesn't really do its job.
And there's not a great amount of engage from Mad Lions anyway.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah, we have. Like, that's the thing is we just... At this point, you know, you have Hecarim who wants to go in a side lane, you have Akali who wants to go into a side lane as well, but neither of those 2 champions are going to push out GP or KO. That's just not going to happen. So, I mean, credit to Diabolus, they are picking up like every dragon. Is that another Infernal, by the way?
It's an ocean.
It's an ocean, okay.
Yeah, it's an ocean.
Next one,
Mountain. Okay, Mountain's actually pretty significant.
Mountain is decent, and let's not forget as well, like if Diabolus do pick up that 5th dragon, when Elder spawns, that is going to be very big. And it's going to be a pretty early Elder as well, because Elder... If I'm not mistaken, I could be talking absolute rubbish here because that's kind of what I do. But
It's like that. I was just about to say, it's like that's your whole brand.
right, I've built a career off of doing that. But because this next dragon will spawn at 31 minutes, that means that the next dragon that will spawn after that will be after the 35-minute mark, and therefore it will be the Elder.
Correct.
So it's going to be a pretty early Elder dragon as far as it goes, which will be good for Diabolus if they do want to try and
could
give
see
it to
6
Mad
dragons.
We could see
a 6 dragon stack.
I didn't see exactly. Well, it depends when the dragon died and when Diabolus
It died
will take it.
before 25 minutes.
Did it? Okay.
Yes,
So
I'm certain of that. So if Diabolus are able to take it on spawn again and then on spawn again, they should be able to get 6 dragons.
Right. We'll see what happens with that.
That is
Elder
the most
dragon and with
interesting thing I can build from this game right now.
Yeah, we've got.
Like you said, it's just stalled.
Yeah, exactly. It really just has stalled. Like, at this point, Mad Lions. Is this? We're not in a replay, are we? This is just happening. Okay. So Mad Lions is actually totally fine with how this is going. And honestly, the only issue I see for Mad Lions at this point is how do you leverage the power that you've built up with your champion set. This is a perfect example, right? It's like you have the strong Hecarim pick, and Kayle now, not even at level 16, is actually hard bullying Kerberos at this point. But okay, so here comes the Baron. Let's see what Mad Lions decide to do about this one. They're not going to want to give this one up like they have done with all the dragons so far.
Yeah, but like you said, very slow take on that. No natural AD carry, so Sona, Taric, and the Jarvan not exactly going to be melting this down very quickly, as Kayle is still in that bot side, going to be pushing that tier 2. She does have TP. Jinx now rotating up now that the mid lane has been pushed in. TP coming in from the Hecarim as well. They're just going to jump straight in on top of this. Taric uses the ultimate a little bit preemptively because there's no real damage coming down. They're trying to jump down on the Sandvix. They will get the AD carry now. Kerberos on the backside, but here's Yoppa. Yoppa just trying to put down the damage. They get 2, maybe be able to get down the Yoppa as well. 3, double kill for the Hecarim, and now it's just all down to Kayle and GP. Can they get the damage down? I don't think they can, and it's going to be 4, potentially 5. No! Gangplank flashes off to the backside. It ended up being a 4-for-1 trade. Diabolus forced the fight. Diabolus get the win. Diabolus get the Baron.
Diabolus were finally able to find a way to draw Mad Lions out of the stalling in the lanes and towards them for a team fight, dangling that big purple worm on the end of the hook. And the Mad Lions, the fish, they took the bait, and 4 people going to go down, plus the Baron. We were talking about stalling out a game. That is not how you stall a game. Diabolus right back in it now.
27.5 minutes in, 6-2 in kills, and finally the gold lead has pushed forward with potential for more. You've got this Baron now. You can potentially use it as a Baron power play. Problem is, though, is that we're cresting onto 3 items Kayle, 3 items Jinx, 3 items Gangplank, and that's when, gold leads and Barons and Dragon leads, they don't really mean much, because on top of the fact that they don't really have, great ways of kind of killing the bot lane, apart from, in a big team fight like that, the siege from Diabolus is not good.
The siege isn't amazing, but Baron buff is very useful.
Baron buff, it makes everyone's siege better.
Exactly. Baron buff will let Diabolus actually put damage down on these towers without having the GP and the Kayle just endlessly clear out those minion waves. So at this point, I mean, it is a big thing to get the Baron, but it is another thing to use the Baron, to utilize the Baron. And we'll see exactly how Diabolus try and do this one. The only thing I would say is kind of tough at this point is you're not far ahead enough to just flat out dive people.
Yep.
So you still have to be respectful of Mad Lions. And to be honest, a big reason why Mad Lions lost that last team fight, I feel like Yoppa's CP was a little bit disjointed. Credit to Diabolus for being able to pull the trigger on that one. But also, Tahm Kench did not devour Jinx. Jinx was left all by herself in that fight, or in the middle of the fight, which is not where she wants to be. You've specifically chosen this Tahm Kench to protect a very vulnerable Jinx against heavy dive on the side of Diabolus, and it wasn't able to do that. So you have to think the next team fight might not be as easy for Diabolus if they decide to go for it.
CG on this tier 2, but decent wave clear when you have the barrels and the rockets. Not really too much you can do about it, and even with a Baron buff, it's struggling to see how Diabolus kind of push onto these towers. And yes, the Tahm Kench ultimate was expended to defend that tower, but that's not really something they're going to be using in an engage anyway.
You know what they need to do? Pick up a rapid fire cannon on Sona. And then you have that extra. Oh, bloody hell, here we go.
Here we go. He's going to get the tunnel out of there. Blue Zor, maybe he's going to be able to get out. He does have the ultimate, but there's the Taric ultimate, able to keep the turret at bay. And now it's actually Gangplank getting jumped on here by Akali. does end up being a relatively easy trade as he took about 3 or 4 tower shots, but Kerberos now jumping in, has got his ultimate, will use it, and the ignites. That's 2 people down. That is incredibly important. They still have a little bit of Baron buff left, but Yoppa is still here. Yoppa is level 16, and Yoppa can do a lot of damage.
Yoppa is terrifying right now, but Diabolus are finding ways to get advantage by not having to fight Yoppa. They catch out Blue Razor right there, and again it's Monkeys who pulls the trigger on this Jarvan. He's really been the catalyst for entirety of Diabolus' plays in the early game. That turn from Baron, that pick right there, 100% kill participation right now. Diabolus breaking into the base, getting an inhibitor. Ooh, the stall game for Mad Lions looks like it might be a game, might not be a game for much longer.
All right, so Baron buff's wearing off. Reset. The important thing here for Diabolus is they cracked the base. I feel like if they weren't able to get that inhibitor, get that extra little bit of pressure as the Baron starts to spawn in about 2.5 minutes, then that's when you're starting to really struggle. They now have double mountain. The in Elder Drake will also be now a huge factor. That's a 5 Dragon Elder buff. So even the late game insurance isn't even that secure for the side of Mad Lions.
Right, this is just looking really scary at this point. If this Elder Dragon goes down for Diabolus, it's going to take a whole lot from Mad Lions to be able to defend it.
Yeah, 100%. TP is going to be up as well. They have 3. I think I've yet to see Yusa use it. I don't think he's, apart from laning phase.
He used it in top lane,
yeah.
right?
Oh, that's right. Yes, you're absolutely correct.
But yeah, I mean, he doesn't need to. This is the thing, right? Is he's just sitting with his pet Taric in this mid lane, and they're just pushing endlessly. And you know, she actually does a lot of damage at this point. You know, like it is actually a lot of burst. You have the Seraphs, you have the Lich Bane, and it is kind of scary. And this is it, is that at this point, Diabolus right now, what they need to do, they have all the items they want, really. You've got a really good team fight. You can counteract this. I mean, Taric ult is just going to make it really easy to dive and to make these team fights happen as well. As long as Yoppa's not getting in on these plays, as long as he's in a side lane and you keep him at bay, then you are absolutely fine as Diabolus.
Have to see now is getting a little. You can nearly hear the clock ticking for the side of Diabolus. It's like you've got to do it soon. Infinity Edge is almost completed for Yoppa on Kale. They have got nearly another Infinity Edge for the Gangplank as well. So there's a lot of huge item spikes coming in very, very soon. You just got to make sure that you kind of, get the fight you need before they come in.
Yeah, and this is it. As Mad Lions just have not been able to do that at all. And there's a bit of kind of disjointed plays coming through from the Mad Lions. Most of the times when things have gone wrong for them, it's just been a bit of miscommunication. When, that Jinx getting consumed, when Blue Razor got caught out as well, he used his ultimate to try and survive when Falco was actually in range to consume him, to devour him.
Yep.
But that didn't happen, so he didn't get saved, and then
he moves further away.
Exactly, exactly. So it's just a little bit of kind of, I mean, if I were Mad Lions, this is my Sudoku game, I'd say it's a warm-up game. But I say every game that I lose is a warm-up game, so maybe that doesn't count. But at this point, Baron, that's the next thing, right? Baron is the next thing, and again, Mad Lions tried to contest the first one. It didn't go very well for them. They're now even further behind. And if they have to contest this one. If you lose this Baron, then it's going to be extremely hard for you to hold your base at this point when you have super minions that will be getting buffed up at this point too.
And I know what you talked about, like, oh, every game, even if you lose it, if you lose it's a warm-up game. But the problem is, you look at the caliber of some of the other teams in this play-ins tournament. You've got Misfits Premier, you've got SK Prime, you've got
Devils.
Devils
Well.
One were huge. They had a fantastic series against Rogue Esports Club, and these are the kind of teams where it's like, oh yeah, we can afford to drop one. It's like, can you? Because if you're bottom 2, you're out. Yeah. And that's the scary prospect right now, is the Baron has been started up. They actually will do a fair bit of damage now that they have got the Hecarim on it this time around. Now they're looking for it. But also the great thing about the Son of Tara combo, why it's so good, is that you can sustain for days. You can literally stay on this, and you don't have to commit to absolutely anything until you're 100% sure you've got this.
There's the TP.
TP coming in. That's going to be Yoppa joining the side. It's going to see now the Rek'Sai comes in. They're going to keep it on to about 1,600 health. They're going to go for the 50 TP, but it's Jarvan who picks it up. Monkeys get it. And now the ensuing fight has come in. It's a great onslaught of shadows from Kerberos to separate the team. They're just trying to keep them off the Akali. They'll separate, they dissipate, and Mad Lions have lost the Baron. They've also lost their jungler.
They don't follow through with that fight there, but it's a 4v5, and like you say, sustain for days. With that Baron buff, they're going to be able to bomb it down the mid lane, use those empowered minions, Let's see, can Mad Lions hold the siege?
Oh, they're going to go for the gangplank, I feel. Actually, going to go for the Tam Kench, forcing Falco to use the flash there as well. That's going to be another inhibitor going down. You may have the late game, but we have 5 dragons and a Baron buff, and Diabolos are looking incredibly strong. They might try and end it right here.
They do have the double mountain as well. Those towers kind of like paper at this point.
Oh, there's one Nexus turret falling. Do they go for another one? They're going to wait for another wave. I think they reset. Elder Drake is up in less than a minute.
Oh man, this game is it's looking really scary if you're on Mad Lion right here. You still do have the scaling, but I mean honestly, you've reached the point where you should be able to contest, and it's like, but they're just too far behind at this point. It's scary. It's really scary. Elder's
This
coming
Sona is
through,
also
but
doing ridiculous damage.
Yeah.
I'm seeing those empowered auto attacks that she gets from her passive, and it's ridiculous.
she's one-shotting towers basically.
Yeah, like look at that.
She has reached that point where she actually does siege like really well. And to be honest, I do want to give kind of a cheeky MVP shout out to the double mountain that Diabolus have been able to pick up. Because I mentioned you don't have the AD carry that allows you to take down the Baron buff or anything like that, but it doesn't matter. Because if you have double mountain, it kind of makes up for the fact that you don't have that traditional AD carry, that traditional sustained damage dealer to help you take away those large neutral objectives. So at this point, Diabolos have had the perfect dragon rolls, and now this is also a perfect dragon if they want to get it.
If they can get it. This is more of a denial than anything for the side of Mad Lions, but you're going to see a good fear going in. There's the Tarek ultimate dropped as well. We're going to see nice little bit of sustain. The Kale ultimate has been used as well. Devour comes in, Falco forced to use the thick skin. They're still kiting. They're still going backwards, but they're losing Hellfire's left, right, and center. It's going to be so close. It's not going to be enough, though. They get the knockoff. They get the kills, and it's only Gangplank left. It's a triple kill for Kerberos. Diabolos will take game number 1 in the play-ins.
When Gangplank goes down at the end, it's not just him, but also the Nexus. Just bomb it down, boys. Finish this one off. A perfect team fight here as well. Really well executed. Kerberos, the coin flip player of the UK scene. 8-1 and 5 on this Hecarim. And of course, it has to be the perfect storm in Leicester. The UK team taking the first game of the 2019 EU Masters Spring.
I love how you dragged that out.